I've got a Golf 4 on the channel. So is this thing as quick as it? Yes guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video. As you can see, we've got the Golf Mark 8 GTI. Now it starts at £38,000, and before you click away and say that's a lot of money, what I've started to do with cars like this anyway, I tend to take 5 or 6 grand off the price and then ask myself, is that the price of a car I'd be willing to pay? Is that the price of a car I'd be willing to pay? That just sounded very different in my head. Now before we go out for a drive, I quickly want to touch on the spec, and in terms of the paint, this is classed as King's Red, which is quite a nice colour. It's got different shades in the light, as you can see, but yeah, I quite like it. I don't think I'd go for it as the colour if I was buying this car, simply because we've got a bit of red over here and the GTI embroidery is in red as well, so there is quite a bit. And again, on the calipers, it's a bit too red for me. But while we're touching on the calipers, these 19-inch wheels, they're okay. I'm not a big fan of diamond cut, I'm not gonna lie to you, because if you do curb them, or I'm not gonna say somebody takes them out takes them out and they get curbed, then obviously it turns into quite a pricey option to fix. But yeah, the color combination doesn't do it for me. But what does, and I always say this, that right there, if you are getting a hot hatch and you can opt for a pan roof, definitely get it done, because it makes the interior a lot roomier and a lot bigger. Let's dive inside because it's freezing out here. One thing I quickly want to touch on is this. Just under this big boot, where it is a Golf, it's going to be big. Look at that. We actually have a wheel. I don't know why I said wheel like that. In Jamaica, we have a wheel in the back. Okay, so yes, it's a GTI, so you're not really caring too much about its day-to-day ability, even though it is a great daily, but more about this. This is the heart of the beast, a 2-litre 4-pot that puts out 245 horsepower and 370 newton meters of torque. Now, this thing is great. Day to day I was seeing 28 on a little 12-mile commute, 28 mpg, and over here we did a 40-mile trip to get where we are now, and I saw 38 mpg. What more do you need? Let's go out. This is the year 2023, where most cars sound like Henry. However, it's very easy for VW to make the GTI sound like a GTI. The 2 litres in loads of cars, from the Seats to the Audi S3, and detuned. However, oh, it's going to be a tight squeeze. Yes, my brother, you made it. So this is pushing on the sound of an RS3, the 2.5 pot. It tries to. It's not as deep, but it tries to. And I know it's primarily coming through the speakers in terms of cabin noise, but it's not annoying. Not one bit. Now the GTI is front wheel drive, meaning it's gonna understeer if you push it too hard. Of course, like even a front wheel drive race car, it will understeer. However, this feels very responsive, and you have got an individual mode on the drive modes, which is great. You've also got your usual eco, comfort and sport. However, individual on days like this is what you want, because this has the option as well of the dynamic chassis control, or chassis control as I'm always told. And that means you can have soft dampers which really help the front end to dig in and push you out of the bends. And the front end, like I said, very sharp, very responsive. It's lovely. Now 0 to 60 in the Golf GTI. Performance box touch active, left foot on the brake, launch program active. Come on, don't bog down. Let's go. Oh, I did it. And 60. What do we got? 0 to 30 in 2.85 and 0 to 60 in 5.94. These tires, man. driver excuse. When it's going, you'd always think that you'd need, the jump, you'd always need around 300 horsepower, but front wheel drive, the electric LSD, they all work together to provide loads of fun, loads of safety, and even with the traction off, the car just grips and goes. Something I will say is these tyres are not the best. I'm a Michelin guy myself, or a Continental guy. If you're watching, slap the sponsor. It's this non-manual mode I'm not a fan of. So there is no M button on this. It's in drive, it changes for you. It's in sport, it changes for you. But later, and you flick the paddles and it goes into manual. And we're in third gear here, fourth gear here, doing 39 miles an hour. And if I slap my foot down to the floor in manual mode, it shouldn't change because it's manual. But listen to this: second gear, third gear. And don't get me wrong, for some people they're not going to stamp it, but I do like, if I'm going on track, knowing that I'm getting to an opening bit of I know I'm coming up to a straight. As I unwind the steering wheel, I just want to be able to mash that throttle and just send it. I'm just trying to have fun. But this does love a kick down, and that's why I feel this would be better suited as a manual, because you get way more control and you don't really want that kick down happening. I just like a car that I can drive day to day and just send it without having to think, oh, it's a bit wet out today, let me make sure I don't just smash the throttle like an idiot. People are just going to turn around and say, just drive properly, feed it in. But it's got 245 horsepower. You feed it in, you'll be waiting a long time for that power to come in, as opposed to letting the turbo have all the power it needs and it just going. Now, as I touched on, it's spacious, it's a Golf, 3 seats at the back, you've got loads of space in the car, it's got good enough boot space. It's the Golf, primarily known as the day-to-day school trip car, small family car. It's a no-brainer. But with this having the engine, it's not just a Golf. It's definitely a little pocket rocket. Something else to note is that there is no memory seats, where this one doesn't have them anyway, and I don't really mind, because again, when you do have manual seats, it means you don't have too much electronics going on. You do have heated seats, but that's as far as it goes, and obviously airbags, and it allows you to sit a lot lower down. Not that I'm sitting very low if I sit upright, but if I settle down into the seat, the visibility is great. I can still see the front left side of the bonnet, so there's going to be no curbing. And these seats, when you do bounce around, they give you a lot of comfort. When you are cornering hard, it's not a fully fledged bucket seat, but comfort aside, they look really good as well. I just keep sending it, I don't know why. I need to talk about the seats, because the first thing you notice when you get in here is, oh, it's very grandma-like. But those people that are pure driving enthusiasts will know that this is definitely retro GTI, and it's nice that they've added that. Nice little job there. Very good, sehr good. That's definitely German. I did German in school for about a month, and then I started bunking. Where it has its faults now, and I hate saying this because this could probably be too much for someone, but for me, it doesn't have enough power. The 245 horsepower, like I said, and the 370 newton meters of torque definitely gets it going, because it gets the people going, but I don't know if I'm just being greedy, but it definitely feels at times a bit underpowered. Now, like I said, everybody's cup of tea, no. But for me, we push this to 300 horsepower, it's final day. 310, it's final day. I think that will be the magic number before the front wheel drive gets a little bit silly. But bearing in mind, we've had the Focus ST, you've had the Type R on the channel quite recently, so it's quite fair to say that this is, going forward, probably the norm for when it comes to power. And 0 to 60 aside, I think it's very hard for me to say that this car is slow, because it definitely isn't. And what helps that speed is the DCC, the dynamic chassis control. As we get up to our favorite jump, give it some speed, and here we go. Whee! It's difficult. It's difficult. And if you ever do get to a point where you watch a video and we look for weaknesses and the guy talks about power, then you know that it's a good car, because power is always subjective to different drivers. I'm sounding very professional here. This is a nice car. Not great because of the power from my point of view, but overall, DSG gearbox aside, this is a very, very nice car. The diff really, really helps this car. Adaptive suspension is a must on a daily hot hatch. Hand roof. Wheels, subjective. Good job.